It's that time again. Get up, get off the couch, and tackle your own to-do list. On today's episode, we're featuring a gorgeous stamped concrete driveway. Load the truck, ladders, tools, all materials. And don't forget the coffee maker. Let's go. Love home reno? Don't change the channel. You're watching the Just Ask Bob show. I am your host, Bob Assadourian. This program has two goals in mind always. Number one, to motivate you to get up, get off the couch, and tackle your own to-do list. Number two, to demystify home renovations and repairs. This way, if you cannot do it yourself for whatever reason, maybe the ladder's too high or you're not comfortable on heights or roofs, we will teach you, we will educate you on what I like to call finding the right contractor for you and your home. Speaking of contractors, unlike reality television, today's contractor is actually licensed. Not one, but two. Master building repair and the contractor portion. Now, why is this important? Why is this absolutely critical for those you hire and bring into your home? Well, I can go on for hours, but I'm not going to. Scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you to our ever-growing database where we have over a dozen televised news interviews all about advocacy, the teaching process, the hiring process, licensing, insurance, on and on and on. Educate yourselves because knowledge will always equal power. Always, hands down. This program is also interactive. It's always a two-way street on the Just Ask Bob show. You send us your email and we will do our very best to respond to you, whether by phone call, whether by email back, whether through social media, and your question, your home improvement repair or renovation question may actually be featured on this very program. Now, some time ago, we had an email from an amazing gentleman, Andy. The email, this homeowner was just wonderful. He tried to create, self-design a situation to beautify his home, his driveway. Budget was tight. Fortunately for the Just Ask Bob show, Andy's come into some money, and that's fantastic because that allows us to put together an amazing program for you. At the time, he wanted to save on money, keep the asphalt in the center of the driveway, go around all four sides with a nice extra wide, beautiful exposed aggregate walkway, or in this case, borders. Now, we were able to convince Andy that what will look ideal, what will look just beautiful in that center when we pull up that asphalt is stamped concrete. And that's a first for the Just Ask Bob show. 9 seasons and going, we've never done stamped concrete. So there's lots to show you. We're very, very excited with today's program. Now remember, www.justaskbob.com, very simple. Fill in our submit form or fill in our contact form or pick up the phone and call us. Now, for those of you that are eagle-eyed at home, you must be able to see here the Ontario Building Code. The eagle-eye part is the change in the building code. This is the latest code that came out last year. Why is it important? Because it's education. Every so often, the province updates the building code. My job as a contractor to read, brush up on all changes, and be educated before I set my foot in your home through your door. So when you're looking at hiring a contractor, again, that's another reason why you want to make sure they're licensed, because that means they're up to date with the Ontario Building Code. Very, very important for you, the homeowner. Stay tuned. Up next, we're going to be visiting our guests on one of their job sites to show you a variety of concrete finishes. I'm very excited today. We're on location with my good friends, Joe and Ed Bartolotta from SCP Stamp Concrete Pros. Many of you will remember Joe from the last episode, my good friend, and we also went to high school together. Ed didn't make that program because you were where?
I was in Greece.
My homeland.
Enjoying myself.
Wow, I don't blame you for not being on the job.
Exactly.
Me and Joe handle things well. That was the exposed aggregate borders.
Yep.
We're actually going to be going to visiting that same job site later on today to talk about stamping the center. Ed, tell us all about this business, your business.
We've been in business for 15 years. I've been doing it for 37 years. Joe's been doing it with me for about 30 years or so.
Excellent.
We do all types of concrete work, basically. We do plain concrete, exposed aggregate. There's a micro finish that we're also capable of doing,
Oh, wow.
which is more of a newer sort of Art Deco sort of design type thing. And then there's the stamped, of course.
And if somebody has a swimming pool, you can beautify the perimeter?
We make it look like it's an oasis.
Excellent. What area do you service?
We do mostly Hamilton downtown, Hamilton Mountain, Grimsby, Burlington, a little bit into Oakville,
Okay.
and then just the greater Hamilton area.
I really want people to understand. I want to demystify so they perfectly clue in what goes on in these jobs. And it doesn't matter if it's a huge job, medium one, or a small one. Let's talk about, I believe you said 5 stages.
There's about
Let's
5
talk
stages.
about the stages. I want people to understand what's involved.
So basically, the 5 stages are: we come in, we start preparing the job. So that's base preparation, digging, putting stone down, and then we come back, we do some form work. After the form work is done, we pour the concrete, stamp it or expose it, whatever that may be. From that stage there, after that, we go into cutting the concrete and cleaning it all up. And if there's parging to be done, as you can see on these steps here,
Parging the faces.
there's parging in the faces in that. Then we follow and come back again, and we power wash and clean the entire site and get it prepared for sealing. And then one more step to come back and seal the project. So as you can see, there's many trips
There's a
back
lot
and
involved.
forth.
It's physically intense work, your
It's
trade.
very intense.
But also the technique, also the skill, also the trade experience. It's both.
Exactly.
And obviously you're not in business throughout the year.
Right, we're
So
just a seasonal business.
You're seasonals, but then in the off months, you still have to maintain equipment. You still have to have a place to store your equipment.
Exactly.
There's year-round costs, infrastructure for a business that you're only working on part of the months of the year.
Exactly.
Yeah, homeowners need to understand that when the day's said and done, it's not about getting it on the cheap. You know, that's what bothers me as a contractor. I mean, this is Hamilton. You can look for the cheap, you can find the cheap anywhere. But
Exactly.
especially with concrete, references count, quality counts. And I've worked with your brother before, been on his job sites before. I'm excited the one coming up to have you there as well.
Right.
That's so important. Now, homeowners can visit the website. You have lots and lots of information there and a massive
Yes, we
photo
do.
gallery.
Yes, we do.
The next job site we're going to be visiting, that's the one where we worked on some time ago, last episode,
Yeah, we did a sidewalk and 3-foot borders around the driveway.
around the 4 sides. Now we're going to pull out the asphalt and stamp the center.
Yeah, and we're gonna go with
Excellent.
the York stone with a weathered oak and a charcoal release.
Nice, nice. As brothers, how is it? Be honest, working together, being family.
It could be
been-
challenging, but it's good.
It's family.
You do great work and it shows.
Thanks,
you.
Bob.
Excellent. We've arrived at the job site, hard at work. We're going to talk about what we've done today. Ed, everything starts with the prep. Tell us how important prep is, please.
So preparation is the most important part of the whole project. Without a proper base, you're going to have soft ground, which in the wintertime could cause frost and heaving and cracking in the concrete. So we always prepare the base, excavate it out, put a stone base down, tamp it all properly, and make sure that the concrete will be the same thickness throughout the whole.
Now on this job, we're pulling out an asphalt driveway. Your brother and I held up a chunk earlier and we snapped it in half.
Right.
I'm shocked at how wet it is, how saturated the asphalt is. Why is this? Or in your experience, have you seen this before?
So, yeah, I have seen it many times before. And what happens is the asphalt, over a period of time, the tar that's in it starts to get really dry and brittle. and it's a binder for the aggregate that's in the asphalt. And what happens is it becomes so brittle that it just crumbles, and it's got no strength to it whatsoever.
Now, even with the machinery, raking and pulling the driveway back, pulling it and demolishing it, I see obviously you've got your men at the perimeters. They're using the picks to break apart the ends and then shovel and pull them in. So a lot of it's physical grunt work. A lot of it's difficult physical work.
There is a lot of physical work there, yeah. We cleaned out the edge so we wouldn't do any damage to the existing concrete that was there.
Okay.
And it makes it easier for the machine to get up close to the existing surface so that he could scrape down all the dirt and get rid of it.
Now, you have a lot more experience with this, and you seem to agree with me on builders, especially new home construction builders. We found a bit of a mess here. You know, explain to us why the soil, the condition of the soil conditions in this driveway.
So typically what happens is as the builder is building the home, they'll put a stone base down for your driveway, and then as the construction continues on, there's all kinds of construction equipment that drive over it, bringing mud into it. People are throwing garbage and wood
Coffee cups.
and bricks and everything else, and it gets mixed right into the whole thing. So there's a good mixture of garbage, basically.
Literally junk.
It is junk.
And the junk will not create a stable base
Exactly.
for stamped concrete or any concrete
for any
matter.
type of concrete, yeah.
Now, your brother had the task here. This is amazing. Your brother's been pulling and pulling back and making two separate piles. One of the junky soil, so to speak, and one of the gravel that can be reused. Explain this separation, so to speak, and then garbaging of it.
So we try not to waste material, especially, you know, the landfills are getting full all over the place. So the dirt typically goes in the landfill somewhere, and if we could not put aggregate and mix with it, we try to reuse it as much as we could.
Okay.
Same with the asphalt. That's all recycled, and we reuse it again.
And you're carting away, garbaging away the loose, the weak soil.
Like clay and dirt. And
You want to get it to a point of undisturbed soil.
exactly. Hey Grant, nice to see you. Thanks for coming out here. Appreciate your quick service.
Anytime, happy to help.
That's awesome. This is Grant from GFE Bins. We've been working together for several years now, and always quick service and reliable. So you got some new equipment, I see.
Yeah, we got a new truck this year.
Yeah.
Hoping to pick up lots of work to keep it busy. It's nice working with SCP Concrete. They're a great customer of ours. They give us lots of work, and they're just fantastic guys to deal with overall.
Thank you.
Okay, now next step we've seen here, you're bringing in gravel.
Right.
So tell us about the gravel you're bringing in, how you spread it efficiently, and I see you're always measuring.
So we used granular A, 3/4 inch crush run, and we used our equipment to sort of spread it around, and then we do our final rakes, and we check the thickness throughout the whole surface, as you'll see, with measuring tape and a string line. And that allows us to make sure that we have the proper thickness throughout the whole process.
We talked about this earlier, how important it is for consistency. Ideally, in this case, we're looking at 5.5 inches throughout.
Exactly.
What happens when you're 5, 4, 3, when it varies?
So it's going to vary a little bit.
What if it varies a lot?
No, we won't allow it to.
No, I know you won't. I know you won't. That's why you're here. You're the best. But on other jobs, or what are the risks per se? What are the risks for if somebody inexperienced does it and they're varying it too much?
So you've got a thick area that's the same thickness, 5 inches or what have you, and then it goes to a section that's 3 to 4 inches. Where that difference is, it may fracture at that point.
That's where you could potentially have a fracture.
Yeah.
Okay, next point now that the men should be working on is they're drilling the perimeter, I believe a 2 to 3 inches depth every 2 feet, and you're going to be inserting rebar. So this is a tie-in system for the aggregate perimeter to the stamped center. Please tell the viewers your mythology about why that's important. Talk us through that.
Okay, so basically we do that because we're in Canada and we've got extreme weather, from warm, cold, frost, snow, rain, what have you. What happens in the wintertime especially is the frost gets in the ground and it starts to, it expands basically. It's hydraulic.
Yes.
And with the expansion, then you've got the movement of the concrete. And the two different surfaces, because they're poured at separate times, they will move freely, whereas if you put 2-inch rebar inside it, it kind of ties them and locks them together. So they'll move up and down, but they're going to stay together.
And you're the specialist on this, rebar versus the wire mesh. When do you know which to choose? I mean, on this job, the homeowners definitely hit the lottery. This is quite overkill.
Yeah.
He wanted overkill, and he's being charged for overkill.
Right.
So in which case do you really determine if you're not, if you don't have an unlimited budget, say?
So normally we would use the wire mesh, the 9-gauge wire mesh. It's 4x8 sheets, and it's placed right in the middle of the concrete. We do rebar as well at an extra charge, obviously. But you could do either or. They both do the same job. Basically, you're holding the concrete together.
You're not going to stop the shifting.
It's going to continue.
You want it
shift.
shifting together.
Yeah.
So all in all, it seems to me that it's absolutely critical. The prep work is critical. Nothing
is.
matters more than the prep work.
Exactly.
It's what you're building on. It's the foundation.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Well, the skill at the end with the concrete finishing is very important.
Wow,
as
that's
well.
important too. We'll be getting to that in a couple days.
Yes.
Ed, talk us through the process of what we call today's day of pouring and stamping.
So today we've got the concrete. We basically get the area prepared. We back the truck straight back, and we pour the concrete right off the chute because it's a driveway. So as we're pouring the concrete, we're leveling it all off, screening it down so that it's nice and level. Then there's a whole process of flattening it all out and making it nice and smooth.
Now, keeping the rebar and keeping the mesh in position, I can see the men pulling and yanking with those bars. Tell us the work they're doing with the bars and what the importance of lifting and pulling up that rebar and mesh continually is.
Right. So what we have is a special hook that we use, and it helps to lift up the wire and the rebar up so that it's off the ground and in the middle of the concrete. And that's the only way it's really going to work. If it's laying on the ground, it's not going to do a thing.
It's not doing much if it's
It's
on
not
the
doing
ground.
anything at all.
You know, I have the greatest respect for what you go through. Temperatures matter, weather matters, and it's not easy to manipulate, shape, and form this product we call concrete.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest struggles is the weather. We've got so many factors involved: the sun, the shades, wind factors, rain factors. It's very challenging.
Now, you've got all the men here. It's quite a process. Once the concrete's in, tell us about the tools you're using. You're using several tools by hand, then you're using the long float on the pole. Describe to us, what each tool does and what the importance of the process for this job, which is stamping.
Okay, so today we use the jitterbug, which is like a roller type thing, and what that does is it pushes all the aggregate down, especially when you're doing a stamp job.
Okay.
It helps, it creates a nice smooth surface. It brings up all the juices of the concrete. Then we use bow floats and we trowel over the surface of it, level it all off. And in the process, we also adding the color, which today we're doing color hardeners.
Yes.
And we smoothen that all out, and this is all based on timing. Like I said, there's so many factors involved, so every job is different.
So we have two colors I noticed. The one color is the main color. So that when you're putting it on, you're floating it, you want that to impregnate the concrete. You want that to sink in.
We've got probably about 25 different colors you can choose from. And we broadcast in, let the concrete absorb the color, and then we work it into the surface of it. And then after, at a certain stage, we add a secondary color, which you can see here. It's a charcoal colored gray. And what that is a release agent. So it allows us to place our rubber stamps down on top of the concrete and lift it up without pulling all the concrete back up.
Wow, without pulling the original color or the concrete up.
Exactly.
Excellent, excellent. That's amazing. And these stamps are just stunning. Now, the next stage, tomorrow's stage, I'll be here with your brother. Tomorrow's stage is the acid wash and cut.
Right.
Now, funny as it sounds, have you ever had a homeowner ask you, no cuts, we like one nice big sheet in our driveway?
Many times.
Many. Tell us the importance of the cuts. The cuts matter. There's some science there.
It does matter very much. So basically, because we live in Canada and we've got the different climates and changes and stuff like that, the ground freezes and things move underneath the surface, regardless of how much base you prepare. There's always going to be movement, depending on how cold it is as well. So what these cuts do is it frees it up and it allows it to crack where we want it to crack, as opposed to it cracking wherever it wants to.
And it won't show.
And it doesn't show.
So we're really not stopping it from cracking, but we're controlling it.
We're controlling the cuts.
Nice, nice, smart. And obviously the size of the cuts, the layout of the cuts, you determine that based on your experience.
Yeah, well, that and the shape of the whatever surface we're cutting, whether it be a patio or a driveway.
Okay.
We typically try to make even squares.
Equalize it.
Equalize it throughout the whole process.
Okay. Acid wash.
So acid washing, basically what that does is it evens out because we have the two different colors there.
Yes.
If you just use a power washer and wash it, you're going to get some areas where they have a lot of release on it, which is the antiquing, and then some areas where it just washes off completely.
Consistent.
It's not consistent at all. So in order for us to make it more consistent, we use a muriatic acid with water. It's a very thin dose of it.
Okay.
And we spray it on and power wash the whole surface, and it gives you a nice even look.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 week after that, we've got the sealer.
Yes.
Tell us the importance of the sealer.
So basically the sealer is like lacquer on wood. It
Nice.
enhances the color. It brings out all the two-toning and it gives it a little bit of sheen. It also protects it from the weather. We also put a non-slip product in the sealer itself, so it's not slippery.
Now, something really smart your brother told me, we talked about earlier, this will be done also a week from tomorrow. On this particular job site, the aggregate will be resealed, the border around the stamp, and of course, the initial sealing on the stamp. Mm-hmm. But then we have one walkway to the left, and we have the original porch with the steps. Your brother had said that that's excessively been sealed
Right.
by the customer, the homeowner. So when he comes in to do the sealing, he's going to bring some xylene.
Yes.
He'll pour it out in different spots. Mm-hmm. He'll have me with the roller. I'll be personally rolling the porch top and the steps and the original walkway.
Okay.
So the xylene, from what I understand, that'll re-enhance, reactivate the old existing and have that look closer to your new stamping.
Exactly.
Please tell us, in your own words, tell us a little bit about that.
So basically it reacts with the existing sealer, and it softens it up and everything else. It allows any vapor that may be caught underneath the
Trapped
sealer.
underneath.
Because a lot of times you get whitening or yellowing and stuff like that. So the xylene will loosen it all up and bring it back without putting more seal on top.
Smart little restoration to try to be harmonious. Match what's been there for 10, 11 years to what you're putting in fresh today.
Exactly.
Ed, you're the best.
Thank you.
One of the finest I've ever worked with.
Thanks.
Another fantastic job. More than fantastic. Absolutely gorgeous. Stay tuned. Up next, we're back at the shop for Bob's Top Picks and Bob's Bewares. For everything home reno, follow us on social media. Welcome back to our shop for what we like to call Top Picks and Bewares. Now, at times, those are a product that we're featuring or that we're promoting. In this case, hands down, very simple. Our top pick is Joe and Ed Bartolotta of SCP Stamped Concrete Pros. These men are artists. What they create and what they build is absolute art, and they've been doing it for a long, long time. A beware would be cheap, crooked concrete installers and finishers. And I'm sorry to say with sadness, our community is full of them. So check for references, check for years in business, and ask for some addresses. When these businesses and these concrete contractors are proud of their work, believe me, they're going to fire off some addresses and they'll even meet you there and you can go visit and see their past work. That is what is important. Quality work that will stand the test of time. Now this season, new for this season, back to the beginning of the season until now, our newsletter is featured in the Bay Observer. We're very proud of that. That's great to be featured there. Now we have what I boast as the largest home improvement database on the net, a university of knowledge, hundreds of these programs, double past featured radio programs of the Just Ask Bob show on radio, Q&A columns in our written magazines, a university of knowledge. Everybody learns differently, whether you learn by reading, by listening, or by watching. Follow it at justaskbob.com. This concludes our season 9. However, we do look forward to seeing you this fall. Now, if you're old school, you need to get a hold of us. Very simple. 289-649-0196. Again, that's 289-649-0196. See you again.